Hey there, Danielle Matthews here. I'm coming to you live from Florida. It is Monday, guys, which means it's book club day, and we are in the midst of reading Wisdom Untethered. So Wisdom Untethered has been, the fourth book, I think, by Michael Singer. The second one we've done in a book club. If you are joining this for the first time, don't worry. You don't have to have read the whole thing to know what's happening and relevant for this chapter. In fact, I would say if you're coming across it now, you're coming across it for a reason now. And it's just fantastic. It's written question and answer format. So questions that really get at the essence of life, at why and where. Hey, good to see you guys over there. Why and where we're getting hung up on things. What is causing us not to be truly free? What is causing us to be restricted by our mind? This week, we're talking about how our preferences, even our values, about how we think things should be, ought to be, could be, how those things are actually keeping us tied down, how our past is keeping us away from being able to be truly free. So last week, we did questions 1 through 4, if I recall correctly. And this week, we're going to jump off with question number 5. So we're on page 57. Hey, Karen. Is that you, Charlotte? Good to see you over there. We're up on Facebook, we're up on Instagram, and this recording will go up onto YouTube, the Enlightened Minds Book Club YouTube channel. So if you're joining me live, let me know. If you are catching the replay, let me know. I always love having these conversations with you guys. So the question to kick off the day with, you teach about how our personal preferences can distort reality. What about our personal values? Do values serve a purpose in one's spiritual journey? Or are they just preferences? This is interesting, right? Because I even think as a society, we hold certain values. There's certain things that we collectively hold that kind of help us all function together. So it's an interesting nuance to ask about, like, what place do they hold on the spiritual path, especially when we're being told, hey, personal preferences are causing us to have, a problem with reality. So it says, your question shows that you have a very good objective understanding of the concepts informed in your mind and heart. We are programmed by our environment. If you grew up in a culture that lived off hunting, you would not think anything about eating meat. If you grew up in one of Gandhi's ashrams, you would find the killing and eating of animals to be immoral. Furthermore, you would not hold these values just for yourself, you'd use them to judge others as well. It's a beautiful example. I think the eating of meat is a beautiful example to use because, in some societies, you have to in order to live, and so of course it's there, and you would honor the animal that you needed to kill to survive, right? And in other locations it's like, well, how could you kill something else when you have vegetarian food to eat? Interesting, right? These are where values are coming from, right? Based on your past, your experiences, things you've had. This is what he's setting up to kind of illustrate this example. He says, since we all have different life experiences, it's natural that we all have different values. But surely there are some universal values that are right for everyone. For example, the first commandment says, thou shalt not kill. Still, we humans have found many exceptions to that divine commandment. We kill in righteous wars, for instance, working to stop Hitler. We execute prisoners, and so on. No matter what your values are, surely not everyone agrees with them. I think that is truth, right? We don't all have the same values, and some of us don't agree with other people's values. He says, so getting to the essence of the question, so how do you live a life without values? You don't. You're not being asked to. He says you don't. You have values. Just as you have a body, just as you have a mind, just as you have a heart. Spirituality is not about living a life without these things. Nor is it about living life without values. It is natural that you have formed values over the course of your life and that they change based on new experiences. Accept that this is going to naturally happen, but also accept that others have formed different values they feel just as strongly about as yours, all right, as you do about yours. You have to understand, I feel strongly this way, that person feels strongly that way, and that's okay. I remember when I got confirmed, my parents took me through confirmation. I grew up in a Methodist church, and I remember very distinctly asking and saying to my parents afterwards, because they asked if I wanted to continue to go to church, right, now that I'd gone through it all. And I remember saying to them, well, if I had been born somewhere else, we'd believe in a different religion. So what makes this one right? And my parents said, it's a great question, and they basically kind of gave it to me to work through that on my own. And I was getting at this, like, okay, these values are good. I'm not saying something's wrong with these values, but what makes them right over other ones? And my desire was to explore the other ones and to feel like, well, let me get an understanding. Like, I have a curiosity about all these different religions and ways of being and what we value. Where do they come from? And is there a single truth that they're all oscillating around? That was my journey, with that sort of set of values, if you will. And I totally appreciated that, yeah, others have others for a reason, because that's what they grew up with, that's what their traditions are, that's what their family taught them. And so they seem so true, right? They're so close to us, we don't even realize that it's a filter we're looking through. He says, the key is, that is the key to growing beyond your personal self. You have a personal self, but you can objectively transcend the concept that your view of things is right. You have to realize, maybe I'm right. Maybe I don't know what I don't know, right? I just started kind of consulting and working with someone, and I said, I'm not aware of what I'm not aware of at the moment, right? So I might give advice, a direction, an idea, but I have no idea the history of this organization. I have no idea the things that I don't even know. So I'm aware that I'm not aware of some things, and it might be making me give bad advice. And these are the things that we have to keep present in our own mind. Like, we think we're so great and we're so knowledgeable and that we're right. No, we need to, be a little humble and realize, perhaps not. Right? Perhaps not. We're limited by our own life experience. We're limited with the knowledge that's come in front of us. We're limited at times by these things. He says, it's just your personal view, and others see things differently. So strive to be the one that understands why there are these differences, accepts their reality, and works to bring harmony. That's what you can do. That's part of the spiritual path. Is, okay, reality is showing up this way, even though my value system says this shouldn't be happening, it is happening. So what can we do to operate now? By all means, live and work for your values, but be open to others. Do not let your values cause your heart to close to the rest of the world. All right, that's what it's about. I know, a figure, obviously, I think everyone now knows his name, Charlie Kirk, right? He had very clear Christian values. That's what he would espouse and what he was really passionate about. And he then took that and put that into politics. But I watched him answer many questions, and he'd say, well, here's the view of what Christianity says should be done, but here's the practical view of, like, in our political system, what actually could be done. And it's just interesting, right? Like, he had the awareness of, well, my values don't actually always extend over into how life is going to play out, is able to play out. That there's differences, there's nuance. And that's what we all have to realize. And we have to realize that these values are baked into us from the culture that we have grown up in, from the parents that we had, from the friendships that we created, the jobs that we've gone through, right? Like, different companies have cultures and dynamics and values, and all of that is impacting you. Hey, Charlotte, good to see you. All right, number 6. What is your take on striving to satisfy your preferences? This is where a lot of people get confused in spirituality. It'll be interesting to see what Mickey says, because I see this all the time where people say, okay, well, but I do have preference. And so, like, am I not supposed to go out and create my preferences in life? Like, am I just supposed to kind of, like, let life happen? Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm obviously an individual person having a human experience with preferences that have been baked into me. So what do I do with that? Right? And that's kind of what this question is getting at. Has anyone ever wondered this? Put a 1 in the chat. I mean, these questions, I feel like they're questions that we don't even know to ask. And then somebody asks them and you go, oh, yeah, that's a good one. Okay. He says, there is a natural harmony in all of life. Every aspect of life serves the whole. Plants grow out of soil, water, and sunlight, and animals eat the plants, and when they die, their bodies go back to the soil. Everything is serving the cycle of creation. When we are in harmony with the whole, serving the moments presented before us, we are doing our part in life. It is called doing our dharma, and it is also referred to as being in the Tao. Participating in this harmony calls on us to use our bodies, our minds, and our inspiration and creativity from our hearts. When we live that way, we are in harmony with life, and we evolve through the experiences we have. Think about how your dog lives, right? Your dog, my dog, for sure, is just, well, hey, Debbie, is just a constant reminder of how to flow with life, right? My dog has preferences, but also flows with what comes. right? It's a constant reminder because he doesn't have an ego mind. And so he doesn't, hasn't created suffering with the way reality is showing up. He's able to flow with reality as it shows up. Now he has preferences, like when a thunderstorm comes, he doesn't like it. He gets nervous and scared. But he's not going about his day like worried that the next thunderstorm is going to come or trying to change the weather so it doesn't happen. Like he flows with what's here. He says, when you get personally blocked because we are unwilling to accept the flow of life as it passes before us, we bring disturbances into our own world. We do it to ourselves. To be able to handle this inner disturbance, we use our minds to try to figure out what needs to happen that will make us feel better and not worse. That is what we call preferences. Did you catch that? Our mind starts to try to say, well, this will make me feel better. So my mind starts to say, I have this preference. I need this thing. This ought to happen. This should happen. I need to go get this food. I need to have this person around. This person needs to do that, whatever, right? They are very personal to you. And they couldn't care less about serving life as it is. They only care about ourselves and the way we want life to be. That is the cause of all wars, all inequality, all hatred, all prejudice. We all want life to be our way, and we struggle to make it be that way. Does this resonate for anyone? Right? Anyone find themselves in that struggle? Well, I want it to be this way. It should be this way. And you try to push for that, and you're creating trouble with, like, life has already shown up. It's kind of like reality is already here. Your plane is already delayed. So you getting upset about the fact that your plane is delayed is ridiculous. Like, I saw a video of a woman in line, like, trying to get off the plane. And she's like, getting in a fight with the person in front of her because the person won't let her in front of him. And he's like, we're all in line. Like, I'm not, like, you getting one ahead of me isn't going to make a difference. But she's, like, so fixated in her head. Her preference is so strong that she should be allowed in front. And she should be the one being allowed in front of everybody to get to the front. It's like she's making her own hell. And everyone around is like, is this lady for real? Like, what is happening? This is an example of, like, a preference getting so out of control with reality. Like, reality is as it is. There's a line. You need to stand in it. Like, sorry. We all have things to do and places to go, but you're in line right now. So settle down. Settle your mind down. He says, as we grow spiritually, we learn to let go of these self-centered thoughts and emotions. As they start to thin out, so do our personal preferences. More and more, we see what life is asking of us, and we are willing to serve it. So it's not, what is that saying? Not what, what is it? Oh my gosh, what is the saying? Sorry, you have no context because I haven't spit it out yet, but it's like, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Right? That is the same essence here. It's like, not ask what God can do for you, but what you can do for God. Like, it's saying, stop having the personal preference of me centered focus, and instead open up and go, what role can I play here? Right? What gifts do I have, and how can they serve in the present reality that's here at this moment? That's maybe working toward a different picture or thing that I'm not so. JFK said that. Thank you, Charlotte. I was like, what is this quote? But that's the idea. It's like, get the personal preferences out of the way, guys. And how can I show up more fully to life as it's here? Because there's bigger things happening, right? In our country, yes, in just the world, in the universe. And we're so limited when we just think about me, my preference. It's like, stop. There's so much more. I know, well, Debbie, she's on here right now. And Debbie, I don't know if you remember saying this to me, but I remember it very vividly. She said, my mother taught me, get up in the morning, get yourself ready, right? Look good, get presentable. And then the rest of the day is about everybody else. Like, the beginning of the day is about you. Getting yourself put together, getting yourself clear, getting yourself, dressed, looking nice, hair done, whatever. And then for the rest of the day, you drop that. And you serve the people you're coming across. And you get your own personal preference, needs, and desires. They go on the back burner. And you just show up as life is presenting itself. And I would say most people love being around Debbie Wexler. They just do. Why? Because she's present with you. She's talking to you. She's with you. She's asking how can she be of service to you. She's not worried about herself. She's aware of everybody that's in the present moment and serving, them, not serving herself. And it's why everyone loves her. So Debbie, you do a good job of this. I'm glad you're here this morning. Okay, so eventually, he says, we are coming into harmony with the whole. Eventually, that is our only inspiration, to serve creation as it unfolds before us. That's what Debbie's mom taught her. Serve the people as they unfold in front of you. As our blockages fall off because we are not feeding them, a spontaneous joy wells up inside. This joy is unconditional. It doesn't need things to be a certain way in order to feel love and passion for all of life. What will happen, I love you, Debbie. This is what happens, and this is probably why Debbie has such a bubbly heart, because she's tapped into the secret. And that secret is when you put your own stuff away and you don't get like pulled in by them, the joy that comes from being able to be an unconditional loving presence, and to like, it's like when your preferences move out, well, what gets filled in that space? God, your intuition, universal presence, whatever you want to call it. That's what fills there. Light goes in there. And then you're filled with that, and that emanates from you. And nothing feels better. Like, there's no reason to go back to your personal griping of your mind, because it's like, well, there's no point. This feels so much better. It feels so much better to be in this space, this giving, sharing, open-hearted space, and just trusting that it will all come, right? And things flow into Debbie's life, as an example. Debbie, you're my example today, because you're a beautiful example of this, and I'm so happy you're here. All right, he says, surrender of the personal and service of the whole becomes our way of life. In the end, we have attracted to ourselves the highest possible state of being by surrendering our will to the force that is creating everything. Thy will be done, not mine. Right? That is what I'm telling you, the core truth that I said, like I started looking for, like what is that? This is a core truth that you're coming across right now. Thy will be done, not mine. Let me surrender to the thing that is way bigger than my own thoughts, preferences, idea of the world, which is so freaking limited. It's just limited by our own experience. It's crazy when you think about it. And we get so right about stuff, and it's just like, calm down. You don't know. One of the things, the reasons many of you are involved in ASEA, and one of the reasons I was so blown away was, let me back up a little bit. During my brain injury, when I was recovering from this car accident, I couldn't do a lot, and I was very limited. And so how to find joy was very difficult. There was not a lot of joy to be had in my own mind, because I was depressed and anxious and all this stuff. And I couldn't do much, but I just started to live in the present moment. I just said, okay, I have right now. I literally can't think about the future, can't think about the past, or I will get anxious or depressed. I have right now. What can I do right now? And I would just, if I was in front of somebody, it was like, okay, how can I make this person happy? Or how can I be present with this person? And just really aware of what's going on. And I was forced into the present moment. And what that turned into was being very present with the people in front of me. And I could see more clearly, love them more easily. It was just everything, there was crystal clarity around what to do. We'll do what's best for them. And when I got involved with ASEA, I heard the founder of the company talk about a Leo Tolstoy story that was made into a children's book. And the book was called The Three Questions. And it's like a little boy wandering around asking, what am I supposed to do? And when am I supposed to do it? Who am I supposed to do it for? And trying to figure out the answer to life. Okay? And the essence of this book, it comes down to basically the little boy figuring out, right, the right time is now. You're supposed to do whatever is best for the person in front of you in any given moment. And that's it. If you do that, you've lived a good life. That's exactly what this is getting at, right? Thy will be done, not mine. Whatever is in front of me right now, that's what I need to show up fully towards. Okay? And then the next thing will happen, and the next thing will happen. And if you get your preferences out of the way, it's all going to unfold. If you read Mickey Singer's first book, The Surrender Experiment, that's what it's all about. It's about him surrendering. It was an experiment he did. What if I just surrendered to life? I said yes to everything that unfolded. I dare you to go do that. I dared myself to do it this year. I've just started saying yes to stuff. And it's like, wow, a momentum starts when you start saying yes to life. Not about how you want it to be, think it should be, ought to be, blah, blah, blah. I've had a lot of these preferences and they just get me frustrated. Just stop. Where is life right now? What's showing up right now? Say yes to that thing and the next thing will unfold. I dare you to say yes, right? What is that movie? Yes Day or something? It's a good one. It's a good one to try. All right, we got time for another one. The next question. How can I manage my desire for wealth and the anxiety that it brings, right? Because we all need money, So a lot of people get stuck, I know, on the teaching of like, what am I just supposed to surrender to everything? Like, how am I supposed to make an income or like navigate this world? It's like, no, you go out and do. It just is like you're doing it knowing that, even if your preferences don't get filled, it's okay. Anyway, we'll see what Mickey has to say about it. Because the desire for wealth can cause anxiety if you don't have it, if you're searching for it. Obviously, we've all been in these situations where you're like, well, the money's not coming, but the money is certainly going. So what do I do? All right. If your mind is constantly striving for wealth and success, it brings you anxiety and fear. How interesting. If your mind is constantly striving for wealth and success, and it brings you anxiety and fear, the answer isn't to try to push those thoughts away or suppress them. You need to understand why they are there in the first place. So instead of resisting, simply ask yourself, why do I want wealth so badly? What do I believe it will give me? Like, actually stop. Society pushes us, we need this car, this house, this certain lifestyle. Why? What is it going to bring you? What do you think it's going to bring you? Like, stop and ask these questions rather than just being swept away. It's like there is a very strong current going on in society, and you're like a little straw in that current, and you are being swept away by it. All right? We're asking you to stop for a minute and realize you're bigger than the straw and you're bigger than this current. So why do I want it so badly? What do I believe it's going to give me? The mind doesn't just want things randomly. It wants things because it believes they will solve something. It believes that if you achieve that wealth, for instance, you will finally be okay. That's the misunderstanding. You're looking for external wealth to fix an internal problem, and haven't you seen it happen? That once you get the thing that your mind has said, okay, once you have that thing, you get this income, you get this house, you get this relationship, you get these kids, you get these grandkids, you get this thing, everything's going to be okay. Have any of you arrived at the okay from something external being brought into your life? No, it just doesn't happen. There's like a temporary satisfaction, a temporary quieting of it, but then the mind like spontaneously populates and says, well, now you need to do this. Now you need to achieve this income, this rank, this, relationship, this thing in the future. And then you're actually going to be okay. Like, none of us are realizing that this crazy mind is running us like ragged, and it's just a hamster's wheel. Like, we never get there because then spontaneously the next thing populates. It's like we keep finding temporary solutions to an ongoing problem. And the ongoing problem is that you're looking for the wealth externally. You're looking for something outside of you to fill you. And the only thing that can fill you is inside of you, period. And so if you keep looking out there, you're going to keep running into, it being temporary. All right. He says there's nothing wrong with wealth itself. Wealth is not the problem. The issue is why you feel you need it. If you think that being rich will give you status, it will give you respect, it will give you security, or it will give you freedom to do what you want, then the real question is, why do you feel like you're not okay without these things? Right? We're looking for the driver. All right? The driver for wealth is just a symptom of a deeper insecurity. If you were already whole and you were already at peace, wealth would simply be wealth, something neutral, neither good nor bad. But if you believe it will complete you, then you are setting yourself up for a never-ending chase, because no amount of money will ever be enough to make you feel whole. Look how many people are incredibly wealthy and are miserable, right? And they're still searching, and they think, I just need to grow a bigger business, or I need to do some other thing. No, stop. The answer's not out there. Like, it's not out there. Think about it, he says. What happens when people actually become rich? They win the lottery, for example, and suddenly everyone wants a piece of them. Or they get tangled in financial concerns, lawsuits, people treating them like a bank instead of like a person. Wealth doesn't bring peace. It often brings more things to worry about. What you really want is what you think wealth will give you. You want to feel safe. You want to be free from worry. Those feelings don't come from money. They come from achieving unconditional inner peace. That is where they come from. If you don't want the temporary solution to the problem, if you want the actual solution to this problem, so it's not ongoing, that is what you are looking for. Inner peace, unconditional inner peace no matter what is happening in your life, and you have access to it, right? This is what this book is getting us to. Okay, he says, instead of trying to force yourself to stop desiring wealth, go deeper. Look at the part of you that believes you need it to be okay. Be kind to that part of you, right? This isn't about self-judgment. It is about self-discovery. It is about going, oh, isn't that curious that I feel that way? I wonder where that came from, right? Be like a curious puppy. We're not judging ourselves. We're not being cruel or mean to ourselves. We're just like, why am I that way? Like, why do I feel that way? Why can't I feel okay with what I have? Don't reject or fight it. Just observe it with compassion and curiosity. It is just something from your past that got baked into you that in the present moment now doesn't serve you. And so now you can see it for what it is and you can release it. That's the spiritual path. Okay. He says, why is it there? What are you really afraid of? If you work at this level, you will no longer be controlled by the endless pursuit of external things. Instead, you will realize that what you were looking for was never out there in the first place. The peace, the security, and wholeness you seek are already inside of you. Many people seek it from a relationship. And I'm telling you, this is why relationships end in disaster for most people, because you're trying to get it from the person out there. And they're not stable either. So it is going to cause a problem. They're eventually not going to be able to show up the way you need them to, and you're going to get upset. They are not there to substitute for you finding it within. Okay, find it within. All right, last question of this chapter. We got a couple minutes. We're going to do it. How do I handle my preferences without projecting expectations onto moments? Ooh, that's a good question. Because we have a preference, right? They're there. How do we not project that expectation onto things? Yikes. There's a saying, expectations are the seeds of frustrations. They are. If you expect things to be a certain way, by golly, you're planting a seed of getting frustrated later. Preferences are natural. You don't need to deny them or suppress them. They're just there. The real question is, why do you prefer one thing over the other? And if you look closely, there's always a reason. Something inside of you has determined that one outcome is better than the other outcome. And that's fine. But when your preferences start turning into rigid expectations, when you tell life, I can only be okay if things are this way, that's when you suffer. I'll only be okay if it's not raining outside. I'll only be okay if it's sunshine, right? Now you're going to suffer because it's going to rain sometimes. The problem is not having the preference. The problem is believing that life should conform to them. It's not a problem to have the preference. It's a problem if you believe life has to conform to your preference. That's the problem. Look at how life actually works. Does it always give you what you want? Put a 1 in the chat if you get what you want all the time. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't. Okay? Mine's a 2. I certainly don't get everything that I want. And that's life. And that's okay. All right, you guys too. He says, look at how life actually works. Does it always give you what you want? No. We're all seeing this. No, of course not. Reality unfolds however it is going to unfold. And sometimes that aligns with your preferences. Sometimes it's sunny outside. And sometimes it doesn't. If you're only happy when things match what you want, you're setting yourself up for a lifetime of struggle. The world is not going to mold itself around your desires. Sorry, it's not. The world is not going to do that. The key is to recognize your preferences, but not demand that they be fulfilled. If you do that, you will find that you are open to a much wider range of experiences and life becomes a heck of a lot easier. Okay? All right. One thing you can do with your preferences, instead of getting rid of them, expand them. This is interesting. What if you learn to prefer everything? If you train yourself to embrace whatever happens, then suddenly you're free. If the driver in front of you is slow, instead of resisting and getting frustrated, just prefer the opportunity to slow down for the moment. That's the preference you can make. If you get criticized at work, instead of getting upset, be excited for the opportunity to improve yourself. Have that preference. When you approach life in this way, you're not getting rid of preferences, you're expanding them to include the miracle of life as it is. Does anyone know anybody like this? I know I have a couple people in my life that are like this. They're just totally able to be fine with whatever is flowing. And I'm impressed by them all the time, and I learn from them all the time, and it is amazing. Yeah, they have desires, they have willpower, they try to make things happen, but they're like, okay, this is here, whatever. No harm, no foul. It is what it is. They're totally at peace. It's amazing. They're very steady. He says, ultimately, reality always wins. If you didn't realize this yet, it wins every time. He says it doesn't care about your preferences. The sooner you align yourself with what is instead of what you think should be, the more peace you will find inside. Karen says, I'm working on it. Yes, we all are. We all are. It's a constant process. He says, let them both be and just watch. You'll start to see that you don't have to control everything to be okay. You're already okay. Life is just unfolding and you're simply here to experience it. All right? That is the trick. So this was a great chapter. Next chapter is about resistance and acceptance. This is a key thing. If you've ever studied with me in my mastery platform, this is one of the biggest concepts we talk about is acceptance. So we'll see how far into chapter 7 we get next week. But this was a great conversation. I hope there are some seeds in there for you this week to practice. Just say yes. Have a widen what you prefer so you can allow for everything the way that it's just showing up in life. And guys, it's going to liberate you. So have fun applying this. If you've got questions, comments, anything, we have our Enlightened Minds Telegram channel. Feel free to reply to today's, and we'll talk to you then. All right. I'm glad you're here, Debbie. I'm glad you'll be coming back. Lots of love, guys.